that coming.
All right. Good morning, guys. It's another Military Monday. We're going to be talking about the Siege of Jadotville. It's a very good movie. I very much felt this was a solid movie, to be honest with you. It's fairly accurate in its depiction of what happened. A couple of mistakes here and there. And I think one was a choice, not a mistake, which is their depiction of the supporting militaries, the Indians, and I think it was the French unit that was trying to support them, because it was French mercenaries that were working with the Congolese that we were having trouble with, and they went at them between 1,500 and 2,000 soldiers versus 128?
150 is what they said in the movie.
150.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, 300 Congolese and mercenaries were killed, close to 1,000 wounded, and not one single Irishman was killed in that battle.
They only had 5 wounded, yeah.
Well, total all, there were 16 that had been wounded in some fashion, including the commandant who got, and they show the scene where he gets shot by the sniper.
Mm-hmm.
And he just gets right back into the fight.
Yep. Well, he got him around the clavicle up there.
Look who's here.
As long as he didn't hit the lumbar top, then be all right.
Bonjour.
Hi, Christian. Bonjour, mon ami. Yeah, it was really odd, that these mercs, these Frenchmen, would get caught up in this, and in the end, many of them were arrested and tried as war criminals, as well as those in the Congolese, because this was an attempted coup, or as the Clash would say, coup d'etat.
Well, not as much as a coup, but what they wanted was to make that province independent, separated from the rest of the country.
Seceding from the country.
Yeah, seceding. That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know how that went in the United States.
Oh, secession movements always go so well. Nobody ever has a problem with it.
Yeah.
Because there's that constant threat here in the United States still to this day with Texas.
Yeah.
Texas has it in their constitution that they have the right to secede if they so choose. And we agreed to that. The government agreed to that, I should say.
Virginia did as well. That was the only reason they signed on to the Constitution in the first place.
Oh, so that destroys the whole premise of that movie, Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Because Texas can just go.
That movie, Civil War, is a stupid movie. Don't even bring it up. It's dumb.
Oh, I won't watch that movie.
As soon as I heard there was an alliance between Texas and California, I was just kind of
you guys are over talking each other. Joe?
Sir.
Are you having trouble with time? Because you were talking over Pope.
No, sorry.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I'm asking, are you having a problem with time?
No.
Okay. Pope, are you having any trouble with time?
No.
Okay, then listen for each other and watch the screen. Try not to talk over each other, because I couldn't understand what either of you were saying.
Gotcha.
And that means the audience couldn't. So, Joe, what were you trying to say?
Oh, I think I said it pretty plain. It's a dumb movie.
Oh, Civil War. Pope, what were you trying to say?
I was saying, pretty much backing him up and saying, pretty much as soon as I heard that Texas and California were allied in any way, shape, or form, that was like,
right. Yeah,
Lost
California and Texas.
Yep.
It makes no political sense. It makes no logistical sense. They can't mutually support each other. Why?
Also, on top of that, Texas doesn't like California.
That too.
Yeah,
Nobody
it's just
likes
dumb.
California. Not even Californians like California, it seems.
Yeah, they're fleeing to Texas. And what's pissing Texas off is some of those lefties from California that fled trying to bring their leftist shit to Texas. And Texas saying, "Got that shit down. If you want to be a leftist in Texas, go to Austin. They'll take you."
My brother lives in Dallas, and he says it's happening there too. It's every major city in Texas.
They're trying to turn red states purple.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some fun yesterday during my birthday dinner. Some things were being said about 45, that he was a liar and a racist. And I didn't fight. I just said, what did he ever do to say that was racist? And what did he lie about? And all of a sudden, people that were piping up were going, well, I don't want to talk politics.
Yeah, they can never.
Once they have to produce
evidence,
proof. No, don't want to talk about
What is that movie that said that, present it about the kid's penis?
Right?
What?
Present it. It's a comedy where the teacher challenges the student talking shit about wanting to whip out his dick. And she goes, well, present it. That's what you do. I don't really want to have an argument either, but when I hear stuff like that, it's like, I get so tired of it. I just get tired of it. And everybody just wants to blah, 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 blah. But then when you say present the proof, they're like, well, I don't want to talk politics. The bullet points of the I hate red just gets goofy because once you challenge those talking points, it just sort of fades away. That was South Park. Okay, thank you.
My go-to line is kind of yes, I understand Orange Man bad, but why? Why Orange Man bad?
Why is he so bad? What is it he did? So anyway, Christian Delorme is here. Andy Morrow, Sci-Fi Mombi, FKH 2005. We have a video for him. You gonna get it to it? And Deleted Scenes is here.
Yes,
Good
I
to
was.
see you guys. Let's do it.
I was waiting for us to. Let me see. Do we have that clip in this studio? Or should I have to go another place?
Let me look.
Oh, here it is.
I'm in the main
Here we go.
studio right now.
Here we go.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Was watching Deleted Scenes late last night. He was up after midnight. It was cool.
Yeah,
Good
he
show.
starts shows at the weirdest fucking hours.
Well, this one's scheduled every week. It's after midnight. He calls it after midnight. So.
After midnight. Yeah.
That's it.
That's too late for old guys like me, man. I'm dragging ass by 1 o'clock. I'm like, whoa.
Night owl over here.
I'm going to be jumping on because we didn't have a show this last weekend for Friday with Loki and Snow, but we'll have a show this week because Loki's here in the Midwest and we got hit by some nasty storms and they shut him down. They shut him down.
Nobody got it worse than Houston. My wife is working 12-hour shifts, has been since last Thursday, and they say she's not going to stop till next Thursday. She answers calls for Centerpoint Energy. They had 1 million people without power down there as of last Thursday. They've gotten well over half of them back up, but yeah, she worked the whole weekend answering, and they're not taking regular service calls. It's only emergency calls.
Whoa. Look at this. Christian has been a member for 18 months. Thank you.
He's a true blue Canadian patriot for this show.
Yes.
So, and I do want to, there are a couple of Canadian war films that I've been wanting to get a hold of to look into doing some just for some of our Canadian friends, especially Christian. Before we get into this, I really wanted to say, any of you guys spot that I got into a fucking flame war with some idiot on Twitter?
No, please. I'm intrigued.
First, I don't give a shit. First, I really don't fucking care what people think of me. I really don't. And this guy didn't like what I said, which I don't really care, and he says, he turns off comments. Let me get to it.
I don't
Well,
understand that move. You know, if you
Let me run a video for Christian. Okay, Christians, you have 18 months with us, so the only thing I can say is
Wow. Wow.
turning off comments is the ultimate I give up move.
Well, I don't turn off comments. What I do is I set my comments to people I follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I follow people who don't agree with me.
Yeah.
On everything I fucking talk about. I will allow healthy debate on my page, but only people I fucking follow. Why? Because it's not a free country on my page. My page is my page. And I want people I respect communicating with me. And I don't want trolls on my page. And that's what this fucking guy was. And that's what I just kept calling him. That was my response to him. Okay, troll. Because he's just fucking pissed. And let's see if I can find what I said. So,
did you use the Harry Potter meme? The guy running down between the tables yelling, "There's a troll in the castle! There's a troll in the castle!" I love that one. It's awesome.
I'm trying to find the original fucking comic because this went on for a little bit yesterday. I still haven't blocked this cocksucker. You know, eventually I'm going to. Here it is. The lightsaber whip.
Oh my God, no.
And I said,
wait.
I did see
fucking
that tweet by
stupid,
you.
a whip. Now, do you guys understand the difference between me asking a real question and what's the other kind of question when you don't actually
Sarcasm.
Rhetorical.
Rhetorical question. This is a
question.
rhetorical question. I said, fucking stupid. A whip? What? Why the fuck would a Jedi need or want a whip? I don't expect anybody to respond to that. That is a rhetorical question. So then this guy hears my fucking comment and goes, it's funny how people ask a question and then turn off the comments. And I responded, not off for everyone, just stupid people.
I did see that. I did see
Then
that.
I shared it. I shared his comment and I said, it's funny how some trolls don't look and see there are comments on a post, but instead assume they're turned off because they can't comment. I only allow people I follow and respect to comment on my page so I can ensure quality comments and avoid dipshit trolls who think social media is for their free reign to say whatever they want to complete strangers. Well played, troll. And he got mad and he goes, right, because snowflakes can't handle the heat of public discourse.
Snowflakes.
You know, try Discord. And I just kept making them. I said, sure thing, troll. And that's how it just kept responding. Finally, he says, you're the OCD moron that keeps responding. It's hysterical. You got triggered by some drive-by comment. See how pointless it is to block out comments? And I just eventually said, first of all, I said, I wouldn't keep sharing yours and just making fun of you if you would just stop fucking doing it. If you want to stop this, you can stop it because I'm actually responding to you. You understand how discourse works. And my discourse is to mock you because you're being a dumbass in public. So he finally stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let it go for a few days to let everybody read it. And then I'm going to block his ass because he's just a fucking moron.
Now,
you know,
if I may, not to be the devil's advocate, and I'm not talking about the guys. I'm talking about the whole weapon. That weapon used to be canon in the expanded universe, but
yeah,
it was
I don't like a lot of the EU, so don't even bother with that argument. Because there's a lot of stupid shit in the EU.
I know I don't like the expanded universe either. What I'm trying to say is it is not a Disney invention.
I don't care. It is with the Jedi because it was a Sith weapon in the book.
Yes. Oh, exactly.
So
Lady
a Sith
Lumia
would actually have a reason to have a whip, but it's a stupid concept. The lightsaber is hard enough to explain. Then you want to fucking bring the magic of a whip?
Right. It's like, how do you make light behave like a fluid object?
It's fucking stupid.
And even though it is in the EU,
And then
and
the argument is
fan,
it's science fantasy.
yeah,
It still has the word science in there.
it's like,
George
I'm an
Lucas
EU
created
fan,
a
and
world
even I
where
thought
the
it was fucking
rockets
dumb.
worked a certain way, the spaceships worked a certain way, and it doesn't defy basic science.
Right.
So fuck off with that fantasy aspect.
And I'm a 40K nerd. We do hand wavy bullshit with physics all the time.
Oh, that
So
that
even
wasn't
I'm
a 50
complaining?
cal.
Yeah,
Think that wasn't a 50 cal. That was a Bren.
that's a
Yeah.
Bren. We're
It
very
looks like
Imagine
it
if-
because of the way it's fired. It's not.
I was looking at deleted scenes comment there. So the director's an Irishman, is that right?
Yeah.
Because it says that he's friends with the
It was co-produced by the Congo government and the Irish government to produce that
Really?
film. Yeah.
Look at this comment from Andy Borrow.
Well, they are into black leather, so you know.
They may have light cough.
It's just the idea of a whip is so fucking silly. It's absurd, and I just no, thank you. I'm people keep going, but what if Disney puts out a good Star Wars? I went, I can't hear you, man. I'm done. The fork's already been stuck in me. I'm done. Yeah, they put out a couple of films I liked. You know, I really did like Rogue One. I really did.
Mostly because we actually got to see Vader be Vader.
And for me, they're not
Rogue
getting
One
another
put
time.
the war in Star Wars.
Yeah. Plus, we
Now,
actually
what
got
was
to
the
see
other one that was
Vader be a
good?
threat.
There was two things I liked, and I can't remember what the hell it is. Oh, I liked the first two seasons of Mando.
Season
Past
one was
that
good.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
liked season
again,
two as well.
again, I'm gonna get flack. I liked Andor.
I never watched it, so I've heard good things.
Look, it was a good dramatic series, just not Star Wars.
Andor was good.
I tried to watch it and I was bored.
I just
I will
stopped
tell you,
caring
in the
about
last
it.
handful of years, the best Star Wars film was Top Gun Maverick.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Because that's exactly what they were doing, the trench run. Hell yeah.
That the third act was borrowed straight from Star Wars, and they admitted it.
Yep.
They said, "Yes, we did. We stole from Star Wars." And I went,
Okay.
I could tell.
The people had spoken, so I will
And
have
when
to
movies-
quit.
When movies admit that they take things from other inspirations, I have no problem with it. Like, you know, Star Wars is a perfect example. George Lucas has said repeatedly that it's basically Flash Gordon meets Dune with freaking Seven Samurai mixed
Yeah.
in.
Right?
Like that's pretty
what
much all it is.
It's actually Fortress. Fortress meets Dune meets Flash Gordon,
True.
because he actually borrowed elements from Fortress.
Which I love that Lucas was actually really upset when they actually made the Flash Gordon movie, because he wanted to make it and they couldn't get the rights to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And
wouldn't
that's
give him the
what
rights.
ended up being Star Wars.
Well, and they made it to compete with Star Wars, and that's the
Yeah.
funny part. There are so many ironies and things. I mean, you see Enterprise, okay? Enterprise was a betrayal of Ronald D. Moore when I don't know if you know the story that Ronald D. Moore had left the office, was headed home, had to turn around and go back to the studio, went into the office and caught Pillar and what's his name in a private meeting over. I wish you would fucking do this one every single time. This is the one I want. It's down on the bar. It's Martin. You see it?
I know. I was just about to click it when you.
Okay. So basically, he catches them having a meeting about Enterprise, and he'd been promised to get the next Star Wars show, that he would be the showrunner. They lied to him. And that's when he left, and he came up with the idea of Battlestar Galactica. and was developing it while they were making Enterprise. Then he made the show, and Enterprise is on the verge of being canceled. And Les Moonves said that if you can get the numbers up, I'll renew you for a 4th season. Or was it 5th season? 5th season. And they got the numbers up, but Les Moonves saw Battlestar Galactica and canceled Star Trek Enterprise anyway. He says, because that's what I wanted, that. So Ronald D. Moore fucked them over. Inadvertently or not. He fucked them over.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that going on at the time, though. I think a lot of it was UPN was way too afraid to take a risk. They just wanted to do UPN, the network that was running Star Trek at the time. They were not willing to make anything controversial or anything that was maybe a little out there. So, they ended up with Voyager. Whereas what was supposed to be Voyager,
and Voyager was
in
garbage.
Battlestar.
I never liked Voyager.
Yeah,
it's like it was woke Star Trek.
And what ended up what Voyager was supposed to be ended up being the remake of Battlestar, which would have been awesome. Especially seeing, Federation officers who are used to being, the good guys and having all of the options available to them and being able to make the good choices, being in a position where they may have to make some very tough decisions and may have to make some decisions they may have to explain later on.
And by the way, it was finally made public why Genevieve Bujold left Star Trek, because they were trying to push her into doing gender stuff. When she was wanting to just do a straightforward story with a Captain Janeway who didn't care about how she looked, was more focused on being a commander.
Yeah.
And when they reneged on what they had agreed to, she quit. First fucking day.
I have to agree with Teague.
Voyager has the best theme. I've said that before myself.
It was good. Yeah.
I was going to say his previous comment about Enterprise. I enjoyed it too. I liked Enterprise.
Yeah. Enterprise first season was kind of messy, but I will tell you, if you want to point a finger at where it all started with fucking with the legacy of Star Trek, it started with Enterprise.
Yeah.
Because they went to the past, which was something they shouldn't have done. Even Ronald D. Moore said that. It was a bad idea, going to the past, because you're going to get caught up in stuff and you're going to forget something. That's why it was so important to have Star Trek University, because you would have trained people who would keep an eye on scripts to make sure. And if you don't have a good, person in charge of that stuff, they're going to fuck up. And they did it with like the Klingons, running into the Klingons on what was it, the first season?
First episode. The first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And the logic, by the way, the flawed logic of that scene. All you had to do was you would absolutely trap those Klingons but using the transporter. It was just a dumb story. But I did like the fact that they brought the Western feel back to the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a big Scott Bakula fan.
Yeah.
So.
I thought he did a great job as Archer. Not my favorite captain, but he did a really good job.
Yeah, in the 2 last season, he became a real captain, because in the first and second one, oh man, so much was left to desire.
The Beagle was more of a captain. I'll also tell you, the intro theme was the worst.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Just garbage. What I really love, though, was Archer's theme was supposed to be the opening theme, and somebody put the opening titles with Archer's theme, and my God, what a great intro that
is. It good? Because I do like the visuals, the history of the Enterprise. I think that's really cool. But I'm with you on the music. It wasn't that great. What I loved about that show was the fact that everybody was like Bones was the entire series, right? Everybody was afraid to get on the transporter because it was new.
Yeah.
It was great, man. I thought it was awesome. That, and I love the uniforms because it looked like a step up from our NASA Apollo mission uniform.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it's basically the Navy's utility jumpsuit, which makes
Right.
perfect sense.
Yeah, it was cool.
Here you go.
Well,
I'm putting the link
the
out there
transporter,
on YouTube. Here's the
they
link
only use it.
to Archer's theme intro. If you guys want to see it, it's out in the public chat, and I'm going to put it in the private chat for you. There you go. That's the opening scenes, opening titles with Archer's theme, and it's perfect.
Now, anybody that served overseas knows this right here.
Oh yeah.
Joy.
Yeah,
Get
21
shot.
gun salute. 21 gun salute. And you know what? I'm allergic to penicillin, and it's the hardest shot to get. And I watched all those guys get that golf ball put in their asses.
Oh.
And I got to sit down and watch, and I went, gosh, guys, that looks rough. How does that feel? Don't forget to rub on it. You got to rub it in. You got to rub it in. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. What am I going to do? I don't know. Maybe I'll just get a disease and die. I don't know.
When I went in, they were actually doing that in boot camp because the understanding was that everybody was going to go.
Yeah. I wasn't deployed. That was done in boot.
Yep.
It was during basic training.
They didn't do it to us in boot camp. I didn't get it until I was headed for Johnson Island. So.
Yeah, they do it in the. I think it's the last week of basic training.
They did it with us right on intake. That was like one of the first things they did to us.
Yeah, but you know what?
Well, that's because of all the gay shit Marines do.
Well, that's true as well.
Whoa! Oh!
Hey, we just
knew they knew they had to protect you guys.
Don't be a judgmental bigot, Gerry.
It is a widely known thing throughout the entire military that Marines are the gayest straight men ever.
Oh my God, they're so fucking funny. Army's like number 2 because it's infantry types.
Yeah.
It's the infantry types because there's no more amount of homoeroticism than in the infantry of the Marines or Army. You will just hear gay jokes constantly. Towel fights are some of the funniest shit. And nobody would fuck with me after I nailed a guy because I would sit there while we're in line waiting for your shower. I've got the towel corner in my mouth.
Rat tailing his shit.
I'm rat tailing it.
Oh,
And
no.
then and I'm the reason why is I said I'll warn a guy. I'm like, hey, you bring that fight to me, you're gonna regret it. I'm just warning you. I fucking tore skin a couple of times on guys, and they're like, yeah, don't fuck with Gerry. He just
I
he
mean,
does
it's
not
the
fuck
difference
around.
between a whip and a cat of nine tails. What's up?
There you go. How about that Jedi cat of nine?
Woof.
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's see that. Don't cross the streams. Plap. Kaboom.
I think my personal favorite was we had a nut shot war between the companies at one point. It was like Alpha versus Bravo
Oh.
of who could get the worst nut shot on the others.
What the hell?
I got one of Bravo's
Man.
pretty good. I hid behind a
Yeah, we used
wall
to do
locker.
we used to do the take a bow, but we didn't actually do like what is that, like the assassin game tag? What the fuck?
Well, basically, the one way I won the war for us was basically I hid behind a wall locker while one of their NCOs was walking by. You know those big foam batons we used to use for melee training?
Yes.
Yeah.
I came out from behind it and got him right in the ball bag with it. Like got a full swing in too.
Did he throw up?
Uh-huh.
You know you've nailed someone in the nards when they throw up.
Oh yeah. That one they can't even speak for like 5 minutes.
Now, one of my favorite things in the Army was the Pugo sticks. And
Those are fun.
Bugle sticks. Yeah.
we went out there, and I'm an experienced fighter. And I would just waylay these guys, and my drill sergeant liked that. And so he decided to fuck with me one day during the Pugo sticks, and he had me take on first one guy. Then he says, well, you're doing so good. Let's put you up against 2 guys. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So I took on 2 guys, beat both of them. Got me up against 3 guys, and boy, that was a fight. And my arms were starting to get noodly. And won the fight. And then the drill sergeant says, okay, my turn.
Oh man.
That when the instructor gets involved, that's what like, wait, nobody said this was on an option. Fuck.
And I'm like, what? you know, and I'm like, there's no way. And I actually stood my ground with him a bit, did some blocks, and nailed him one time. And then he just beat the fucking snot out of me.
I was
My
going to say,
arms had
you hit the
nothing.
instructor.
There was nothing left in my arms. And you know what I'm talking about when you get noodly armed? It's
Yeah.
like you feel like you're a dream. Have you ever tried to fight or run in a dream? It's like,
Oh yeah.
The Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
yeah. Fuck. You know, it's like trying to run through swamp water, you know, and so that he fucking kicked my ass. And I looked up at him and I actually said, "You planned that one well." And he goes, "Didn't I?"
He knew what he was doing.
Because a lot of people don't know that drill instructors are all of them are martial arts guys. Every single drill instructor I ever met is into martial arts. And we had a martial arts club, and I was in that club. So my drill sergeant was well aware of my fighting skills because I was in that late night martial arts club with him.
Yeah.
Any soldier that they liked, they would invite into that club. So I think he'd been planning that. I don't think that was an on-the-spot decision. I think he'd been planning to wear me down and then fuck me up.
How am I
And he
going
did, man.
How am I going to humble Kissel? Okay, now I know.
I was a pretty polite dude. I don't think he had to worry about humility with me.
Yeah.
But I was very cocksure. And there's a difference between being cocky and cocksure. I was never cocky. I didn't
There's a
never
difference
show up.
between confidence and arrogance. Yeah.
This guy's a really good actor that plays the commander who communicated. And by the way, this motherfucker, what a great fucking actor he is. I forgot his name.
Which one?
Strong.
Everybody was
Him,
awesome.
right there.
Strong.
Him.
Oh, Mark Strong.
Strong,
Oh,
Strong.
Mark Strong. I hated his guts in this movie.
You're
And that
supposed
is
to.
a good
Yeah.
fucking actor to make you hate him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird seeing him with hair again because he kind of stopped wearing hair pieces in the 2000s
Mm-hmm.
and accepted his baldness. But going back to this again was kind of weird. It's like, holy shit, that's Mark Strong with a wig. It was during the run of his Scottish movie and TV series
Oh yeah.
that he started allowing himself to be seen bald with a shaved head.
All I can say is this movie just gives me another reason to be proud of my Irish background.
Yep.
Very cool.
And what really sucks is that the Irish soldiers that fought in this battle were never honored
Yeah.
and were treated as
cowards.
cowards until 2005. That's 40 years.
Yeah.
That they were treated that way. It's just shameful.
It is.
Just so the UN could save face.
Yep. Pretty much.
And that Irishman could prevent World War III, or so he says.
Yeah, as soon as I saw them talking about minerals at the beginning of this, I was like, man, that's what Africa's all about. Jeez.
Mhm.
It's
All it
all economics. Every bit of it. You want to talk about a bloody continent? That one right there. Oof.
Now, this guy, the real guy, Patrick Quinlan, is a hell of a soldier. And I don't know, I saw no mention that he decked that officer, but it was needed in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm glad
Yeah.
they put it in there.
And the
He
guy
says,
freely admitted he had
are you going to court martial him? He goes, no, I think I had that one coming.
Yeah. In defense of that officer, you can see that he agrees. He really agrees with Quinlan, but he cannot say that.
right.
Not even to Quinlan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obvious. He's trying to fight the battle for Quinlan with Strong's character, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they just don't. Strong's plan for this is he doesn't have the resources to send them at all. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
and-
was interesting to me
Hmm.
right here.
Yeah.
The local woman that gave him shit, but at least she explained it to him, right?
Yeah, they were at least polite enough to let them know the position they were in.
Yeah, that was an interesting scene to me. The widow that told him, you know, you're not welcome here. Yeah.
And I'm looking for shooting locations, and I can't find it, but I'm assuming that this was shot in South Africa. And
Yeah.
because
I
it
did see
is
a lot of mention of South Africa in the credits, so yeah.
because it is credited as a Irish South African production.
Yes, I don't
They
think
say
they
it
have
was
this climate
for
in
Netflix,
Ireland.
but I don't think it was made exclusively for Netflix, because originally it was released by the production company, limitedly in Ireland, and then I think it was sold to Netflix.
Which I'm really glad to see Ireland actually has a kind of thriving film industry right now. They've made some pretty great movies too.
Oh, they have over the last 50 years. There's a lot of Irish films I like.
Kenneth Branagh really put a spotlight on him when he made Belfast. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it.
There was a great one that came out a couple of years ago that my mom showed me for the first time called Black 47. It was awesome. It had Hugo Weaving in it as the villain.
Really?
Really, really great movie about a guy who comes home after doing a tour in Afghanistan with the Connaught Rangers in 1847 to the beginning of the potato famine.
Okay, give me a second here. We need to do this.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
I saw something about like 750 guys named Kyle getting together for Guinness Book of Records.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I wanted to let you know about it, Gary, and I can't remember it now. But they all got together for it's the biggest meeting of people with one name or something like that, and it was all guys named Kyle.
And they made a big melee fight with foam tubes.
Oh yes, the battle.
Yeah. Oh, the Joshes, right? To determine who is the real Josh.
Morning, Kyle. How you doing, buddy? So, as far as accuracies go, you'll have some whiny bitches out there that'll say, well, they gloss over the political blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this isn't a political film, dipshit. This is a war film. This is a combat film. Don't worry about the political accuracies. How accurate is what happens in the battle. It's fairly accurate, except for when the Huey comes in and gets shot down. It wasn't leaving, it was coming in, trying to resupply them. They were trying to resupply them, and it got shot down. There were no Irishmen on that helicopter. But it's kind of cool what they did. They show him trying to take off with the guy, and then he falls out and still survives.
Yeah.
He fell out of the helicopter before it crashes. It's a good scene.
I thought it was great how in true Irish fashion, he picks a fight before he leaves the table with this guy.
Yes. It only took 2 weeks to take the country.
2 days to take the whole bloody country. Too awesome, man. Too awesome.
Yeah, now they do put that in here because there were rumors that de Gaulle had sent French troops in, French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
But in the film, they try to stick to what we do know, which is they were French Foreign Legion, but they're considered mercenaries now because they're not officially there by order of France. But there are those who said de Gaulle sent them there to fight the UN, which would be funny to me because the French are notoriously pussies about everything.
Well, not only that, de Gaulle was just the absolute worst at this period because like everybody else was trying to calm stuff down throughout the Middle East and Africa and all that, and kind of try not to rock the boat. And then de Gaulle was starting shit like this.
They had already gotten their ass kicked in Vietnam at that point, hadn't they?
Yeah, they were already losing in Vietnam by then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because this is 61.
Yep. And I believe
they were already out of Vietnam.
That's what I meant. Yeah, they'd already got smoked there. Yeah.
I believe by this
choice.
Point, France had already done the absolute best thing they ever did, major sarcasm, and given Israel nuclear weapons. Because that's how they got them. The French sold them, I think, 3 bombs. Thanks, guys. That was really great.
Yeah, here it is. here's one thing. For instance, in the movie, it depicts the Irish soldiers as inexperienced and unprepared, which was not entirely accurate, as they were well-trained and professional soldiers. Additionally, the movie portrays the United Nations and the Irish government in a negative light, suggesting that they abandoned the soldiers, whereas in reality, the soldiers were following UN orders. Well, that's true. I mean, they depict that in the film. So this guy, I think, is full of shit here, because they depict
one
they're
word
trying
right
to follow it, and the UN cut them off. They were afraid of a world war coming out of this.
That one word they just showed on the screen, uranium. That's what this is all about.
Mhm.
The minerals. Yep.
And
And
it pretty
that
much
makes it perfectly clear to him what's going on.
and as far as the timeline goes, the timeline's fairly accurate of what happened in the battle and what they did, the Irish did. As far as that scene where the guy hits that guy way out there with his not a Maxim, what was it? The machine gun.
A Bren.
Bren gun. It's not entirely impossible because they're fairly accurate. And because I was just reading about how one of the weirdest sniper rifles ever used was a 50 cal machine gun with a mounted scope on it.
Yep.
The fuck?
Yep. People don't remember that the M2 has a single shot setting, and you can mount an optic to the top cover.
Well, I told you what happened in the Battle for Mosul when the strikers moved into that's the 72nd Striker Brigade was the only group that went out that day. Everybody else was in their fobs in lockdown. This was on June 6th of 2004.
Yep.
And it was the Tet Offensive of the Iraq War when the insurgency turned its attention on the people of Iraq that were lined up to become police officers that were working in the hospitals. So they set off multiple car bombs across the country, killing quite a few and maiming thousands in that battle. And so everybody went in lockdown, and the Striker Brigade went out. And nobody was talking about the shit because the strikers at the time were experimental. And the army was like had a lockdown on the news on them because they weren't sure these things were going to work. And the strikers went out, and all of the strikers in this team were the robotic 50 cals, except for the very rear one was mounted by a gunner. He was up there with his hands on the thumbs up above the butterfly trigger, just sitting there, and he was chill with his weapon pointed down an alleyway. And this guy, this Haji, jumps out, like does a ha kind of jump with an RPG on his shoulder. and jumps out right in front of this guy. True story. I wrote this into the script too. The only thing I changed was, and I'll tell you how it went in my script. The Haji jumps out with the RPG. The guy looks down his barrel and realizes he has jumped right in front of his sights. And he just depresses the trigger. One shot goes out and obliterates the guy in an explosion. But in my script, he fires the RPG and it skims the top of the striker right next to it, just to add a little sexiness to the shot. But in reality, he just was like, thanks. It just depressed the trigger. I didn't have to move the weapon at all. Just boom, fired, bumped it, and it was good. It was over. And the guy was, hit center mass and he vaporized. Limbs went flying, but the central part of his organs, everything was turned to liquid. People do not understand how brutal a 50 cal is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not meant to be shot at human beings. It's an anti-armor weapon.
It's against the Geneva Convention to do what Gerry was just describing.
You can only use ball. You can only use ball ammunition against humans, but they've changed a lot of that. So now the 50 cal is mounted on these strikers, and they're used for anti-personnel, and they will fucking obliterate you.
Oh my god, 50 cal.
You don't go, oh, I got winged by a 50.
No. It's more like I got my arm blown off by a 50.
No.
Well, that was the best part of the movie, the remake of The Assassin with Bruce Willis. What was that movie called? The original was about assassinating de Gaulle. The original movie.
You talk about Day of the Jackal?
Yeah, Jackal.
Mhm.
They just renamed it to the Jackal.
Or did
But
they?
Day of the Jackal is the guy trying to assassinate de Gaulle because of shit like this.
So I didn't really understand this one. He told the guy to be tough, but these guys wiped out civilians that were trying
Yes,
to build.
30 civilians.
That's just wow. Unarmed civilians killing
Yep.
them a little bit too much. Yeah. And homeboy tried to suppress this. You're never going to be able to suppress something like that. There's always going to be witnesses in that situation.
That's why conspiracies don't work. Conspiracy
Right.
only works if there's two of them and one kills the other.
Yeah. First rule of assassination, kill the assassins. That's right. Absolutely.
Then you become the assassin and you have to off yourself.
Right.
Well, that's the
They
problem with
were.
hiring agents like that is they know what happens after they complete their mission
Mm,
because they've been the ones doing it to other people for years now.
Mhm.
yeah, but they don't want about themselves. They just are about the message.
I watch movies like this and the Wild Geese, and I'm sitting here going, why would you ever go to that part
To
of
Africa.
I mean, my gosh, man, there's no cover. They actually explained when they first get there and he starts having trenches to provide some kind of cover in this flat land other than the buildings.
Well, one of the smartest things they do is is digging trenches because they realize that this is not a fortified position. We need to fortify it.
Mm-hmm. And he explains that we've got to cover 3 fronts here. We've only got cover to one side. We're going to get outflanked from 3 different directions, you know?
And funny thing, they never did.
No.
They
never
were
did.
lucky. They were lucky in that way.
Mm-hmm.
The French never thought of flanking them.
Well, you know, what can we say?
That's never
Too
a
much
good
cognac.
business.
Too
I
much
think he
cognac.
explained it at the beginning in the bar, right? 2 days. That's all it took.
Oh, and by the way, they did take lessons from Dale Dye and gave all these actors 2 weeks of military training.
Oh, good.
And it shows because a lot of them look like they know what they're doing and they're handling their weapons properly and they're moving like soldiers. Which those of you who've never seen an infantryman move around, we have an economy of movement that's very, very hard to replicate. Where we basically don't move unless we absolutely have to.
That's it.
Yep.
So laziness.
No, it's not even that. It's how
No,
we
it's
move.
conserving energy because you know you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
I know. I understand. Let me fuck with the guy. My God.
And it's also how we move. We'll be completely still and then move extremely quickly all at once.
I was explaining one day the infantry way of walking.
Yep.
And now apparently they're changing that because they said one of the greatest ways to learn to walk, one, because of the way we wear body armor, we're trained to walk chest in front.
Yep.
Walk chest forward. Because if you turn sideways, the armor is ineffective. You have to face the enemy. So you're trained to walk with your weapon. Now, a lot of the modern guys do this sideways shit when they're talking combat. But having been trained with a rifle my whole life, I always do it the way you're supposed to, which is this way. And you got your weapon, you've got it shoved into your shoulder, and you're walking straight forward. But you're walking with your knees.
Yeah.
The knees are like they're tied together. And the reason why is you want the most stationary aim you can. And they discovered that when you walk that way, your sights don't bounce up and down.
Yeah. You're trying to keep the weapon level by doing that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I just heard recently in some training news that they're doing away with that. And I'm like, is it for real? I mean, what did they find that's more effective? The
No,
nap.
But
well,
it's not
it
effective.
is not that more effective. I watched an interview with a I think it's a Navy SEAL or a Marine. I don't recall exactly which one was, and said that it gives you assuming that position puts you in a mindset that gives you tunnel vision.
That's one thing. It also puts a lot of stress on your knees, which are already under a lot of strain due to the weight we carry. So it's causing horrible knee damage later on.
So, but what are they doing instead?
I don't know. That's the thing. I haven't been able to get an answer to that made any
I
sense.
think that they are going to operate stance with short bursts of advancement in, I think, zigzag.
By the way, I don't want to say that the Congolese and the French Foreign Legion were terrible, but I want to point out that not one Irish soldier was killed.
Nope.
And they killed 300 of them.
That's quite a ratio.
Yeah.
Tough
Not
bastards.
one Irishman lost their life in this battle. They were wounded. 16 were wounded. But they fucking walked away from this. They surrendered to these guys. And then cocksuckers held them hostage to exchange for other prisoners. I'm like, you shitty motherfuckers. I'm glad that later people were treated as war criminals and hunted down and tried, and most were executed.
And they only surrendered because they ran out of ammo. That was the only thing.
Yeah, they weren't getting resupplied. They were running out of water. They were, in fact, it looks like, because they show it in the film, that a jackal was trying to drink the water from the water tower, and somehow it had become tainted, and the jackal was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to a rain barrel and were drinking out of the rain barrel. And that's not going to last very long.
No.
Napoleon learned an army travels on its stomach. Another person learned that too. King Harold, when he was headed towards the Battle of I just forgot the name of the battle. He was leaving the Battle of Stamford Bridge and was heading back south for the Battle of Hastings. And he ended up losing 30% of his army because they were out of money and out of food. And they ended up marching all the way down there to Hastings, lost 30% of his army, and the army was fucking starving. So that they weren't fighting at their best.
Well, that's how the Kingdom of Jerusalem lost a couple of battles during the Crusades, is they forgot that supply lines are a thing and moved away from water.
Huge mistake.
Only to have the Arabs come around them and all of a sudden be between the army and its water source, which that never goes well.
Not a good idea to go into the desert without water.
Nope, especially when you're wearing 60 pounds worth of steel.
So they couldn't drink it.
And by the way, this is another film with one of my favorite weapons ever made is the FNFAL. This is what some of these guys are carrying. That big rifle you see them carrying is an FN.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the FAL is, well, I mean, it's called the right arm of the free world for a reason. Basically, everyone other than the United States used it at some point.
Yeah, it's such an accurate weapon. It's got such a long barrel that it keeps that round accurate because it gets just enough spin on that thing and force behind it. Because the longer the barrel is, the more it's keeping that force behind it and expanding. And it just fucking goes out there, man.
And that's capable of automatic fire. A lot of people don't use it on that because full auto, but it can do it.
It's a 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO.
Otherwise known as 308 Winchester.
That's right. That is a fucking hunting round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
a version of 30-06.
I have seen
take
elephants
down a big ass buck with
down.
one shot.
Dude, I saw a documentary of calling of elephants in Africa, and I saw the soldiers take down elephants with one shot.
Yep.
If they hit them in the brain pan,
no, in the heart. They shot in the heart with a FAL.
I'd be afraid of knowing exactly where that heart is. I know where it is on a deer from any angle, But an elephant, holy shit, man!
It's just behind the shoulder, right?
Usually.
Yeah. Yep. You look for their shoulder blade.
Woof.
By the way, the
I
FAL is
I nailed one with an arrow, a 4-point broadhead. Shot it with a 75-pound bow, and it was not a compound; it was a recurve. And I missed him with the first shot when he was standing still. I missed him, and when he went to leap over a log, I hit him right under the shoulder blade, and I hit him in the heart. And on top of that, it locked his shoulder blade forward, so he couldn't bring his leg back, and he went face first, crashing into the ground. And then I walked up, and I'm like, and he wasn't dead yet. He was just laying there, just panting. And I looked at my buddy I was with, and I'm like, well, this is the first time I've ever killed a deer with an arrow. It's still moving. I'm not getting close to him. And so he got up as Alan Burrell, my boxing partner, and he went to his truck and got a fucking pistol and came out and put a bullet in its head. Because I'm like, I'm not just going to turn it into a pincushion and just keep shooting it till it stops breathing.
Right. Yeah. Most hunters take like a 22 with them to do just that. You know.
I thought that hitting him in the heart would kill him with the arrow. That's it. It's over. No, he laid there in languish, and I'm like, fuck. And you don't approach a deer when it's alive.
No.
Not unless you want to get fucking antlered or hooved.
Yeah, that's it.
So my buddy went in and got, and I think it was a 22 pistol, and he shot him in the head and killed him.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, when I go, the few times I have gone hunting, everybody I've gone with took a pistol of some sort just to put them down. It's the humane thing to do.
Yep, I bring a 9mm with me just to end it if it doesn't kill them straight away.
Right.
And I was afraid, though, because if it had been open land that we were hunting on, even with a permit, I don't know if that's legal. And but we were hunting on private land with permission, so I knew we wouldn't get in trouble for it. But I was actually, because I got pissed one time. My buddy Larry Beverly, you can find him if you go to my Facebook page. You'll find him on my Facebook page, Larry Beverly. We went fishing, and I wanted to go bow fishing. So I had my bow and arrow because I love my bow and arrow, man. I love that thing. And so I'm out there with special arrowheads that have a barbed tip that aims backwards for shooting fish. And I learned how to use refraction and where the fish actually was, you know, because you look at water, it lies to you where it's at. And you got to understand that. And this goose that was a pet of the ranger station, was 50 yards from us, kept harassing me. Every time I bear down on a fish, it would come flapping its wings, splashing. And I got angry because he kept scaring the fish off. And I turned to Larry and I said these exact words. I said, I swear to God, the next time he does it, I'm going to shoot him in the ass. And he fucking did it again. And I turned and I just drew back slightly and released. And it was still enough force that it went through its fucking skin. And that thing began screaming bloody murder. And I was like, fuck. And I'm stuck to it because I got a line between him and
you got a line at the end of the arrow, right? Yeah. So
I picked him up by the neck and I just fucking pulled that thing out and just threw him. I went, and then him and I, have you ever run through shallow water? You're like, your legs go outward when you're running, trying to get through the water. We're hauling ass going back to his truck. He goes, you're a fucking idiot. I know. I was 16. Like, I would do stupid shit when I was 16.
He just couldn't take it anymore.
Now, I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons why the Irish did so well in this battle is because they are entrenched. They're using the terrain, and while the Congolese and the French mercenaries are on flat land with only cover as vehicles and a tree line.
And instead of trying to advance open, like in platoons or sections and cover each other, they were just kind of walking forward in a standard line formation. And I was just like, why do you want to die?
Why are you using Revolutionary War tactics in a modern situation? What are you doing?
Like, they have a Maxim gun. How did World War I go when you did that?
Right? What the hell?
Also, you see it right there. Really good trigger discipline used in this film by the Irish.
Yep.
And you,
That's something that's beat into you.
when it starts becoming obvious that the ammo is going to be a problem, you hear them giving orders, see what you're hitting. They're telling them choose their targets and watch what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just fire.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't get this, I mean, that aren't trained infantrymen. A lot of the shots we take are not at a person directly. We are not trying to hit them. We're basically suppressing that position of just putting rounds into whatever they're hiding behind to keep them down while we move around.
Yeah, cover fire. Yep.
Because most kills in combat are done within eye shot of each other.
Yep.
And it's one of the things that makes, Generation Kill is such a good story in the fact that it brings up the fact of that in the military, only a certain percentage of people pulled the trigger while aiming at another human being. Most of them would aim at the air. They weren't really trying to hit anybody. This generation that fought in Afghanistan and Iraq are a different quality of soldier, to where you have a higher percentage rate of people taking aim at the enemy. And it's because of the different kinds of training, and also because they're volunteer. They're not conscripted through draft into the military. These are guys that chose to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a higher percentage of guys capable of killing. The video game generation also helped this, because the psychology of Tango, bad guy, because you know this as well as anybody, Pope.
Yep.
You're trained not to call them people. You're trained to dehumanize them and refer to them as tangos, bad guys, hajis. Trying to think of some of the other ones like during the shit in '93 in Somalia, the nickname was skinnies.
Yep.
You dehumanize them, and people go, well, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. When you're going to have to kill them, you need to do that, because it helps you psychologically make it through, to dehumanize them.
And the difference, too, in other wars versus the war on terror, a lot of combat was taking place inside structures where you're only a couple of feet away from the guy you're shooting at. And there's a psychological difference between shooting at a human-shaped thing that's way over there.
Mount training, CQB, man, it is essential, because you are literally seconds away from death with every movement you make. And that's why, clearing a stairwell is one of the scariest things in learning how to.
There's no good way to do it.
No.
You just move through the area as fast as you can and hope nothing happens.
The whole goal you have when you got to go up a double stairwell, the minute you go under the archway and go into the stairwell, you're immediately trained to turn your weapon up the stairs, and you're watching top of the stairs while the guy in the back of the stack is watching behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And making sure nobody comes out of the rooms or what have you. But going into buildings it was one of the scariest things I ever did in training, because I understood what we were training for. And I'm like, holy shit. I would always be fourth man in the stack because I was the medic, but they allowed me to train, and I liked that. I really appreciated that.
One of the way the way they taught us in military police school, and it's not always possible to do.
Write the bad guy a ticket. That will stop him.
That's it. Write the bad guy a ticket. No, believe it or not, we actually had combat training. We do RACO, rear area combat operations, and the way they taught us to clear a building was you go in from the top. They drop you out of helicopters, and you set up a perimeter around it. That way, when you start shooting and working your way down, when they run out, you can take care of the rest of them. That's how they trained us to do it. But there's no good way to. Urban warfare is one of the ugliest things in the world. It's ridiculous.
It's especially bad if you bring armor in there and don't have proper infantry support. That is just a quick way to lose some tanks in a hurry, because
no doubt
the grunts can move around and do all kinds of shit, and tanks can't see anything.
Yep.
So if you don't have infantry screening on keeping them off the tank, well, then bad stuff's going to happen to the guys inside.
Yeah.
and even in the GWAT where we were trained very, very heavily on, room clearing, urban combat, that kind of stuff. Your stress level when you go into a building and you don't know layout, you don't know what's in there, is the absolute highest I've ever been. Where your stress level is just through the roof,
you don't
and you
know,
are just hyper
you can't
focused
see
on
through
everything.
walls. And they now, I don't know, this is how they trained us to do it. I don't know how they trained you guys to do it and how you did it, Pope, but they taught us, lead guy hucks a grenade in, and then you clear the room.
If we can, we do, but a lot of times we're in civilian neighborhoods, so we did not want to do that in case there is civilians sheltering in that room.
Mm-hmm. Which
now I'm going to tell you
doubly
something.
tough.
The Battle of Mosul, by the way, the U.S. trained the Iraqi special forces, okay? But I'm going to tell you, those guys did not learn very well. Because when you go into a room, and by the way, I guarantee you Pope will tell you absolutely 100% right. We were trained to go into the room as the flashbang goes off.
Mm-hmm.
You don't flashbang and then go in, okay? But in that incident where they retook the mosque in at the Battle of Mosul, they were flashbanging a room, and then they would rush in. The Iraqi National Guard would rush in and just spray the fucking room.
Well, they missed the entire point of having a flashbang in the first place. Is you let the grenade go off, and then you go in there, and since they're stunned, you can pick targets and then drop them, not just go in there and hose the room down.
What we were taught to do was, each person in the stack has a place to go. And when you start the breach and you flashbang, you already go in and then you close your eyes, because you know when the flashbang is going to go off. You close your eyes and then you reopen them. And you're already on your sector, your corner of the room where you're supposed to be. And, Americans are so much better trained in doing CQB than the only other country I think comes close is, of course, British SAS. And, of course, in the United States, a lot of people will talk about, like, well, Navy SEALs are top. No, even Navy SEALs will tell you Army Special Forces were trained by SAS. SAS does it the best. And so U.S. Army Delta Force and top tier Ranger teams. Now, I'm not saying tier 1 Ranger teams. I'm saying the top tier Ranger teams, which usually refers to the top 3 tiers, are really, really good at CQB.
Yeah, the Marine Recons are the best line
Marine
fighters.
Recons right there with them. Marine Recon. Oh my God. Marines are just the thing about the difference between a Marine and a fucking Army soldier. I'll explain it as this. One is sane and the other was insane.
We are just aggressive as all hell.
They're just all out there, pit bulls. The Marines are pit bulls that have been trained to kill. That's the big difference.
That's why we terrify so many other militaries. Is most other armies hate fighting close in.
It got you the nickname
the shit out of them.
World War I.
Intentionally get up there with them.
It got you the nickname in World War I as the Devil Dogs.
Yep, we will intentionally get in close and start using shotguns and bayonets because it's effective.
I told you what you guys did too, right?
Oh yeah,
you guys poked out the lenses of the gas masks when you were being hit with mustard gas. You had to poke the lenses out so you could see to aim, making the mask completely useless. And that mustard gas injured so many fucking Marines. Oh, yeah. But it got that nickname for a proud nickname for the Marine Corps, Devil Dogs.
And that was actually
they weren't kidding. The
that
Germans were terrified of Marines. They were terrified.
Everybody who's ever fought the Marine Corps has been absolutely terrified of us. Because let's face it, even our allies are kind of terrified of us sometimes.
Yeah, the few, the proud, the insane.
Well, I mean, the Japanese did have literal propaganda articles saying that Marines were recruited from prisons and insane asylums. And
yes.
Marines kind of looked at that and went, hey, that's not true. That's just where we'd be if it wasn't for the Marine Corps.
And another Marine goes,
yeah.
Right.
Let them believe it.
But to what you were talking about,
it just made us scarier in everyone's mind.
What you were talking
well, you
about
see it in the Pacific when that sweet kid becomes a fucking killer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the kid from Jurassic Park. He goes in, wants to be a soldier, and ends up being one of the most brutal killers on that fucking team. Where he's got a fucking revolver out. And the officer comes up. I said, cease fire. He says, what do you think you're doing? He says, I'm killing Japs. And I'll kill him if I have to do it with my bare fucking hands. And it scared the shit out of the officer.
That's the
He just
thing
sort of
people
backed
don't realize with American infantry officers. Everyone else in the world, the officer is the one in control, and he's the one telling guys to do stuff. Our officers are holding us back. They're the ones who stop
Restraining
us.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And once you shoot the officer, the regulator is off the war machine. We're out to do some shit that makes Geneva mad.
Yeah.
Now, this is an important scene too. This is going into the third act, and we're starting to see how cowardly the UN is. And diplomacy. And by the way, he does fly in it, and he is shot down and killed.
Mhm.
And that made the diplomats even more afraid of what was going on. And this is where you get people who are hand wringers, or quisling is another name for it. Quisling.
You know,
it leads to cowardice.
I was surprised, or maybe not so much, that in the movie they never mentioned that the plane was shot down. They said, "No, the plane just crashed."
No, it was shot down.
They
I know.
inferred it, Martin. They inferred it. They showed the plane lining up behind it right before they
But never said that. And
I got to
it
point
was
out too, again, these guys, these fucking Irishmen, stood against not only a ground army, they had fighters coming in shooting at them.
Mm-hmm.
And they still managed not to one of them to die.
Yeah, that's a great
I'm blown away.
That's a great moment in the movie when they turn the Jeep with that machine gun
Flip
mounted
it on its side, and he's got
so he can
that.
shoot at it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
with that fucking machine gun aimed up at him, and he fucking nails it too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, shots fired from Shellback.
Hey, Shellback.
TJC.
All I got to say is Marines and Army are the only ones with infantry. That's it.
I mean, technically,
Navy's
anyone can be
the
an
only
infantry.
close thing to infantry the Marine have is their special forces, which is Navy SEALs.
Mm-hmm.
We actually
by
do
the way,
have
I
our
got
own
into it.
Force Recon guys, but they're basically SEALs just with EGAs.
Yeah, I got into it again the other day because somebody said that something about Jesse Ventura.
Oh yeah,
and I brought up the fact that he is a graduate of BUDS. He graduated from a BUDS class. That means that he gets to call himself a Navy SEAL, even though he was in before they were really called Navy SEAls. It doesn't matter. He was fucking graduated from BUDS. He was underwater demolition.
yeah, UDT.
And that means you're a fucking Navy SEAL, motherfucker.
Yep.
Because some people were trying to say that, well, he's UDT, he's not Navy SEAL. I said, well, if you knew your history, you wouldn't say that. But you clearly don't know your fucking history. And I was so happy because I know Don Shipley. Don Shipley set that record straight on his show and says he is a Navy SEAL. We recognize him. He gets to wear the tridents. So fuck off.
Isn't that what Ventura did? Demolitions?
That's what I was talking about, Jesse Ventura.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't respect Jesse Ventura because of what he did with his lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's one thing when he went after Chris Kyle, but when he continued the lawsuit after he died, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Because all he's doing then is taking money out of the wives and the kids' mouths.
Yeah.
Taking food out of their mouths by doing that. And that's a fucked up thing to do.
You mentioned
I lost respect for him.
You mentioned video games earlier. I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but
Bye, Shellback.
Anybody,
Hey, Shellback, love you, buddy.
Anybody that's been to a comic book convention lately, I don't know if you've noticed, but the Air Force and the Marines and Army are always there. They're hosting Call of Duty tournaments. The Army and Marines are, and the Air Force is always
fantasy boot camp for Air Force.
flight simulators. Yeah, they're always looking for talent, man. They are. It's ridiculous. That's one of their recruiting tools now is video games at these friggin' conventions.
What is it? Like only 10% of the Air Force like gets into planes.
Yeah. The rest of it's all
like,
support. The rest of
it's
it's all
support.
in the rear with the gear. Yep.
Yeah, it's like that's silly. Marine Corps, I get. Fucking Marine Corps. Let's play some Call of Duty, motherfucker. You know.
Well, the Army did that with the America's Army series of games for a long time, and they were good games too.
Let me tell you something, man. I just broke it out the other day because I haven't played it in a long time. America's Army. I was in a clan that was nothing but active duty and Army veteran, and we kicked ass. We were the number one clan. We were back and forth with Barbecue, was the name of one of the other clans, major clans, on game battles. And god damn, dude, we used CQB training, and it fucking worked in that game. You can't do it now. Call of Duty's not right. You know, Battlefield's not right. You can use certain things, but the one thing that you do in those games that you don't do in real life is fire a few shots and then reload. Because you know, you got to do your weapon count in your head of how many rounds you've fired, so you don't waste ammo.
Well,
but in video games, you don't, because in video games, you dump that mag, the ammo automatically is not lost. It's still with you.
In fact, we train. Well, once you get into the fleet, we teach guys basically stack your tracers in the bottom of the magazine. That way, once you're firing, once you start seeing tracers, you have like 5 rounds left.
Running out. Yep, that's smart. That is so smart.
Because that's just a visual representation that so you're not sitting there having to think, okay, how many rounds have I fired? Do I need to reload? I'm seeing tracers. Okay, I'm almost out. I might want to be reaching for a new mag.
By the way, this is really where the cowardice starts to amp up. It's about protecting the organization, the UN. And that the Irish military went along with this cowardly behavior.
Well, the thing Martin was saying earlier that he didn't see where they say that it was shot down. That's because they were suppressing a lot of the information. I mean, they'd already done it with the radio station. I mean, you know, they didn't really want them to know what was going on the outside.
Now, is this the scene where he gets shot down?
Yeah, this is it.
But you don't see it get shot down. You see the plane, and afterward they say, "Oh,
it's inferred.
The plane crashed by its own will."
It just suddenly wasn't able to fly anymore and stay in the air.
Yes, he lost the will to fly.
But they were obviously suppressing a lot of information here, a lot. And one thing that I thought was interesting, whoever directed this or wrote it did a great job, because early in the movie, when he sends his right-hand man to go talk to the general personally, when he comes back across, he sees troops on the bridge, and he's like, look at you guys, right? And later on, that comes into play here at the penultimate moment, whenever they try and reinforce these guys, and they can't get across that bridge. It's the only way to get there. You know, it's pretty interesting stuff.
Now, I don't know what that submachine gun is that guy's got there.
That is a Swedish M56.
Is that what it is? Because I don't recognize the design of the stock.
Oh, that's how I know what it is. It's a Swedish M56 or an American Swedish K, which is basically just an American copy of the Swedish one, because they wouldn't sell them to us, and we really wanted them for our SOF guys. The SEALs especially really liked them in Vietnam, but
what do they
since
fire?
The Swedish are
9
neutral,
millimeter? What's
that? 9mm. Yep.
9mm. Okay.
But basically, the Swedish, since they're technically neutral in most things, wouldn't sell us guns because we're actively involved in Vietnam. So we just kind of stole the design and made our own.
Mm-hmm. This scene right here lets you know they're not going to get help. They're not going to.
Oh no, you know that from the.
He calls them a pawn.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even the commandant knew that when he said, "Record every conversation."
Mm-hmm. When they say receive God blessings. What? I need ammo, not blessing.
Yep.
I will not send American troops. But he ended up fleeing. The guy who tried to take over the government ended up fleeing from the country. And as I recall, they hunted his ass down, didn't they? And arrested him, then executed him for war crimes.
No. He died of a heart attack.
Did he?
Yeah. Motherfucker got impugned.
Yeah, that part of the movie is always really tough for me because just like these guys are fighting their hearts out and they're doing really well, and you can just tell there is no help coming for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame.
And it's hard to imagine something like this happening in the United States, with American, because Marine Corps in particular, but the Army has that famous saying, "Leave no man behind."
And the Marines do the same thing of, if there is one of us left alive, everyone who's still around is coming out.
Yeah.
Now, you say this part isn't accurate about them getting guys on board the helicopter?
Hey, look who's here today.
Hey, how you feeling today?
She's back home.
Died of a heart attack. Yeah, it's like somebody turned to me one day. He says, "Well, they died of cardiac arrest." And I turned to him. I said, "Every single human being that dies of cardiac arrest."
Yeah.
Even if they have their head cut off, it's from the heart stopping that causes death. The decapitation just led to the cardiac arrest.
Yes.
Like, that was a medic teaching somebody to stop saying something stupid. Cardiac arrest. Fuck you. Yeah, he had a heart attack. It was a 9mm heart attack.
Well, that was always our thing with, how Vietnam was always like the we need to win hearts and minds, line. Our line during Afghanistan was, 2 in the heart, 1 in the mind.
My dad used to say this to me all the time. He says, "God damn it, the one thing the Russians got right, man, a 2-cent bullet to the back of the head."
Mm-hmm.
And a great example of that is, the story, and of course the movie made about it, Citizen X, right? About that Russian serial killer that the Russians were trying to pretend didn't exist, that was killing children.
Oh yeah.
And eventually an Irish actor played it. Bergen, I forget his first name. Really good actor. It's the guy from The Crying Game that plays the soldier that accidentally kills Forrest Whitaker. And he played the character really well, and he's the one who pushed the investigation and eventually caught the motherfucker. And they took him into a room that all the floor all kind of went to one spot, a little drain in the middle of the room, and put a 2-cent bullet in the back of his fucking head. And it was over. Stephen Rea, that's the guy. I fucking love that guy, man. Good actor.
Oh, that scene, man.
This is awesome, boys and girls.
Get all the brass and put some TNT.
Right, he's making the world's biggest claymores.
These guys were so fucking sharp with what they were doing. Proof of their training comes through in how, again, not one of them fucking died.
Wow.
And that's so impressive.
Awesome. Yeah. Fantastic.
Because he looked on the ground and he saw all that fucking brass. Just thousands of fucking rounds laying on the ground been expended. And boy, I gotta tell you, if I had to pick a weapon to fight with, that's the one I'd pick.
He also knew if they showed a retreat, these guys would come rushing in after him, right? He just set them up so well, it's not even funny, man. Damn.
I'll tell you the other weapon, Pope, and I'll see what you think of it, that I would love to have in a combat situation where I had to defend myself, is the H&K 91.
Good weapon. I would honestly, I'd prefer the Stoner 63, but that's just me because apparently that weapon is like fucking magic in the machine gun configuration.
Well, I like the Bushmaster's version of the AR-15 that fires a 308.
Oh yeah,
Modified.
that would be their AR-10. That one worked really well.
It's a
But, I
gorgeous
actually have
weapon,
to
and
go.
boy. What's that?
Unfortunately, I had something that came up last minute, so I have to run. But it's been great.
Oh, is
talking
the
to you
cops
guys.
there to get you? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Take care, Pope. Don't beat up too many cops.
Take care, man.
I'll try.
All right, buddy.
My
Love you,
brothers,
man. I'll talk to you
Take it
later.
easy on
Hey, have a good one, guys.
But Ariel, at first they didn't have the contingent to reinforce them because everybody was busy. But when they could have the people to send, they sent it, but they were cut off by the mercenaries.
And really,
There was a helicopter that you saw crash. That was actually they changed it in the movie, and it's not what happened. The helicopter was coming in to drop off some supplies, and it got shot down, and the guys on board were killed. So they never got the resupply. They should have flown a C-130 overhead because we had C-130s at the time, as I recall. We had C-130s.
They were sending a C-130.
Well,
do a high altitude aerial drop.
They didn't have the guys to send to them. They sent 30 when they did.
Men isn't important. Ammo and food and water was.
Mm-hmm.
Because these guys, I think they could have fought even longer.
Oh, yeah.
But they ran out of supplies. And it's like they had no choice but to surrender. And their treatment is what pisses me off, that they were treated as hostages instead of prisoners.
What a victory, though. I mean, they can call it cowardice all you want about surrendering and everything.
Well,
victory.
Simply put, the Irish won this fucking battle.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
But they had to surrender because they ran out of the ability to fight.
Yep.
They had no supplies to continue their fight because they had beat the shit out of these French and Congolese. Beat the shit out of them. Over 1,000 wounded. 300 dead. And the Irish had small groups, 150 guys, man. They had 16 wounded, none killed.
I like when he's talking with the French commander and said,
"That's the maxim there, isn't it? That's the maxim."
The battlefield is full of dead people. None of them are mine.
None of them are mine.
I don't know about you, Gary, but I've got no respect for mercenaries at all. None.
I had a friend who was one, and he just, I tell the story. I was like, he was one of our foosball guys on our foosball team.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the guy, but I didn't like that he was a merc, and it bothered me. And one weekend, he didn't show up. And word finally got to us that he was killed by probably a Navy SEAL because he was protecting drug runners.
Just, man.
He was a merc for drug runners. I'm like, it's terrible, but
there's a big difference.
He deserved.
There's a big difference between fighting for your brothers and fighting for money. There's a big difference.
Well, they are
I
not
get
called
pissed when they
mercenaries.
call Americans that, because if you're getting paid, that's technically a mercenary. But the fact is, the U.S. military pays its soldiers because of the fact that they know they got families and lives, and they need to make it a basic income, which is called, well, when I was in it, was called BAQ. Yeah, this pissed me off when this Frenchman pointed that fucking weapon at him.
Yep.
I like that the Irishman doesn't flinch.
No, he walks into it. Yeah.
Go ahead, do what you're going to do, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Are we done here?
Right.
Then he puts his fucking, what is that, a Walther? It's a Walther, isn't it?
Not sure.
Might be a Walther. I don't think that's a Luger. It looks like a Walther.
Now, remember, they are not called mercenaries anymore. They are now private military contractors.
Soldiers of fortune?
No, private military contractors.
I know, I'm just playing. They used to have a magazine called Soldier of
You-
Fortune magazine.
you-
Is that still
You
around?
have to be politically correct.
Do
Well,
I?
we do know that
Do I
that
really?
until that one incident, Blackwater did a fairly good job. The problem was that too often they had to be rescued by our teams,
Imagine.
and but they did a good job over there in Afghanistan and Iraq. Blackwater, um, until they got caught in that one situation, but they cleaned up their act. It was piss poor management. They got somebody in there that wasn't very good and a little shady, but they got their respect back. I think that I still think they did a fairly good job. But like I said, like in Iraq in particular, they got into several situations when they had to call for backup, and Rangers were sent out or
Yeah.
Marines were sent out to rescue them. But this is
Okay.
such a powerful film because now we're at this point where they're being held hostage, and they're held for so many days, and then finally released to be told that no one knows what no one will ever know is what they were told. No one will ever know what happened here today. And the incident was suppressed, and finally, 40 some years later, in 2005, it was released, and the men were finally honored
So,
to get
Gerry,
the respect they so rightly deserved.
I've used in almost all my English quota for the day. So, can you please give a short story to Ariel of what the conflict was about?
Yeah, she came in late, Gary. She's wondering what's going on here. She think that
Well,
go ahead.
it was an attempted coup in the Congo, or in Congo, and the UN was chartered to send defenders to the existing government, and which was friendly to other nations. And so UN peacekeepers were sent there, and they did with the Irish what they tried to do with us with the first Gulf War. The UN wanted to send us in with peacekeeper helmets and with the band on our arms, and we refused. Even though my unit didn't fully go, only parts of my unit ended up going. We were all on alert, and we all refused to have anything on our shoulder other than our unit patch or the United States flag. And it was pretty much unanimous across the board with the US military. No, we're not going to let you put your UN banner on us. Fuck you. We serve the United States and its interests, not yours. And so these guys were Irish, and they were told to go in for the UN. So they were given the the blue headgear and the arm flap.
It's
And
called
you
a
know this.
Bernard.
MPs wear them. MPs wear them. And when you're in basic training in AIT, we wear one that's similar to that as squad leaders, because we're giving temporary. It's almost like being called a technical sergeant. You have the technical rights of a sergeant to do things. You just don't have the actual command rank.
Right.
So
It's called a Brizard, Gary. It's called a Brizard.
bizarre.
Mhm.
And that's what they put on them. And they sent them over as peacekeepers, and they ended up getting into that situation where that whole village was practically wiped out. And I think that was Indians, wasn't it? The Indians that did that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It caused a lot of problems. It caused an uproar, and it led to this skirmish. And I say skirmish, it was a fucking full-fledged battle between
5
this
days
Irish.
of battle.
They were sent to this area right outside Jadotville to protect it. And they get there, and there's no place to fight from. It's flat. So the first thing the commandant does is tells them, dig trenches. We're entrenching here. And they put up sandbags, and they built an entrenchment around this fucking villa, and they defended it very well. And I tell you, they technically won that fight. They won it. They kicked the shit out of those motherfuckers with not one casualty. When I say casualty, I mean one dead. They killed the shit out of the French and the Congolese. Killed 300 of them, wounded about 1,000 of them, and like you said, there are all those bodies on the ground, and the Irishman says, "None of those are ours. It's theirs." And they pulled a dirty trick on them,
Yeah.
saying that they wanted to go out there and instead turned it into an ambush, and the Irish still fucking repelled them.
They called for a ceasefire to pick up dead and wounded. And
No, it was the French had interest in the Congo
Yeah.
Belgians. It was always referred to as the French-Belgian Congo, okay, because they ran it and they wanted their forces in there to help this coup government, which was friendly to the French. Now, de Gaulle said that he never ordered this, but I'm telling you, those mercenaries were ordered there by the French government. I'm telling you, I'll stand by that till I die. That de Gaulle ordered the French Foreign Legion to go there and denied being with the French Foreign Legion and claimed to be mercenaries to protect the French government. But I'm telling you, he ordered the French in there to defend this new coup.
They don't go anywhere on their own.
And it didn't work. Eventually it failed, and the guy died. And they say heart attack. I'm telling you, somebody put a bullet in that motherfucker and reported, oh yeah, his heart stopped. It was a heart attack. Heart attack by 9mm.
Maybe it was Jason Bourne.
and that's what the French interest was, Ariel, was the fact that the French-Belgian Congo, the Belgian hate to be called French, but fuck them, they're French. Well, it's sort of my joke with Anima, it's like, yeah, they're not Germans. I said, yeah, but what language do you speak again? And she gets mad at me. She goes, shut up, kid.
So you're still English then?
So even with we speak better English in America than than the English. They add letters to words that don't exist. The closest to English we have in the United States with the ink to match with the English are fucking deep Southerners, because they fuck up English too.
Yeah, we do.
And their accent comes from the English too. Oh, absolutely. A lot of pressure was put on them. It's shit like this that led to that assassination attempt of de Gaulle by that's featured in the film Day of the Jackal with Edward Fox. Boy, God, that's a good film. Have you ever seen it, Joe?
Oh, long time ago. Long time ago. When I was young, I'd have to watch it again just to get to remember it. But my dad was into all those movies back then. Yep.
Yeah, I love that film. Edward Fox is really good. I bet it was SDECE, the old French intelligence agency, that did it. I wouldn't be surprised. Once again, you see the berets that they're wearing, the blue berets. That's the UN. I think at one time there was something to be proud of with the UN. There it is. There it is, C-130.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike, I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you earlier.
I did. I said hi, Mike. What should be a Military Monday film? What's that? You mean, yeah, you're talking about Day of the Jackal.
I don't know. It's not a military movie.
It kind of is, because the guy is former military and so is de Gaulle. Mm-hmm. So it's one veteran trying to kill another veteran.
Yeah. This conversation right here, the general, he knows he's in the wrong. He knows he knows.
Yeah.
There is zero record of what happens here in this scene, but it was needed in the movie.
Yeah, for dramatic.
That the general says what he says to him, and then he fucking belts him right in the fucking kisser, and then the fucking diplomat's like, "Are you gonna arrest him, charge him?" He goes, "No, I had that coming."
Yeah, he's basically telling him, we respect everything you did. it's
No,
great,
he
but we cannot recognize it.
No, he cannot even say that to him. That's the worst part. You know the character feels it,
Yeah,
but he cannot
he
say
does.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ariel, we kind of love the French, but trust me, if they piss us off to a certain point, because a lot of people don't know this, they don't talk about it. Anybody who's studied history knows that there were Vichy French, and there were more than they like to admit to, and that Americans were being killed on D-Day by French citizens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Armed French citizens killing American soldiers
because they
on
didn't want
D-Day.
to get the repercussions of the German.
When you see that movie, The Longest Yard, you see Saving Private Ryan, they always conveniently leave that out.
The Longest Day. Longest Day. You said
What did I
longest.
say? Longest Yard. Yeah, The Longest Day. They left it out. And in Saving Private Ryan, they left it out. That there was a lot more Vichy French than they like to admit to.
He's done Kelly's Heroes.
I don't care. I would gladly do it again.
Yeah, Tim, Joe corrected me already, but thank you. The French defending the Atlantic Wall. Yeah, I would say on D-Day, they probably killed more Americans than they ever killed Germans. And that's always pissed me off a little bit with the French. So anybody who knows their history would not have any problems with going into combat against the French.
No. It's a love-hate relationship because they have the same ideals of liberty and stuff like we do and everything.
Yeah, but
they
only
had a
for them.
revolution, but yeah, it's
and there you go, right there. See, this is proof of what I'm saying. He remained in the Legion, until his retirement. That tells you right there. The French fucking ordered him down there.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Renee Falks. The secession of Katanga was halted in '63 when UN troops defeated the Katanganese forces. And he was convicted and died suddenly of a heart attack from a
Took
9mm.
a couple of years, it looks like, though. This takes place in '61, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
August of '60 or September of '61.
All I know is that is the bloodiest continent to this day. Africa is just, wow. I remember when we were younger, Gary, you remember Idi Amin, probably the closest thing we've had to the short mustached guy. He was a very charismatic leader in front of the camera. Meanwhile, he was killing his own
He was a brutal murderer.
Yep.
Absolutely. He was a brutal murderer.
Wow,
One of my favorite films, by the way, is there were two versions of it made of the Entebbe raid.
Really?
And
I like Last King of Scotland with McAvoy.
That is a good film.
It's awesome.
It is a good film. But the fact is, I love the raid on Entebbe. The one with Richard Dreyfuss is my favorite one.
Yeah.
And
good movie.
E.G. Marshall's in it. God, it's a really good cast. It's a major cast. And I think Robert Shaw's even in it. And it's the made-for-TV movie that I like the most.
Right.
And they made two of them at the time. One's better than the other. It's the one with Richard Dreyfuss. He plays the officer who gets killed in combat. He fought for that role. I want to play this guy. I want to play this guy. And it's an incredible film. And it's the incident at Entebbe that introduced Idi Amin to the United States and who he was and how problematic he was. But this is a powerful film. I think that it really proves again that the Irish, the Irish tend to, and it's brought up in the film, tend to not want to take part in wars. They tend to be like the Swiss. They want to be neutral.
They've never actively tried to take out another country.
And that's why in World War II, they held POWs for both the Germans and the Americans. They kept them separate, keep them separated. They kept them separated at this prison. But the fact is because they were neutral, they would guard German soldiers that were captured and American soldiers that were captured by the Germans. And but it's pissed a lot of people off that the Irish did that. But at the same time, look, man, I get it. They don't want any part of England. They just want nothing to do with it.
I was going to say, when you've been subjugated by another country for so long, yeah, I mean, all you want is freedom, and that permeates your entire outlook on things. You don't want to pick a fight with anybody. But if a fight up to your doorstep, guess what? You're going to get everything we got, right?
And again, these guys were sent there in the guise of being peacekeepers. And they were very well trained, unlike it kind of shows in the movie that they're not trained. You know, experience and training are two different things, and it's the training that'll save you.
There's a hint of that. There's a hint of that. The French, after the first encounter, he tells to his men, "We were misinformed. We were told that they weren't unprepared. That is not right."
It's not right. It's not. Yes, Idi Amin is said to have eaten human meat.
Yeah, he was a sick, twisted bastard, no doubt about it. It would be interesting to find out more about Quinlan himself, because he's portrayed as a guy that's very knowledgeable about the history of war. He's talking about Caesar at the beginning of it at a bar, and I'd like to see, because he comes up with some great strategies. I mean, the first thing he does when he sees flat land, dig in, people.
Where I'm doing the show right now, I can't open other programs that take a lot of bandwidth because it'll screw up the show. So I'll have to check it after the show, Tim. By the way, here for Ariel, here is the Wikipedia page. It's fairly accurate. I couldn't find anything wrong with that. And it describes what happened in the Congo Crisis.
There you go. Yeah, you got to read what's on a Wikipedia page before you go endorsing it. No doubt about it.
Yes, man, Wikipedia it has become.
Gerry says it's accurate. It's accurate. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
One thing that led to let me look it up too. British.
I'd like to know more about Quinlan, though. I really would, after seeing this movie. Any commander that can get himself and his men out of a scrape like that without one guy going down, I want to learn more about that dude.
After the incident in 1916 of the Easter Uprising in Ireland, and a bunch of Irish Republic Guard were put against the wall and executed. That changed the way the Irish were from that point forward as a self-governing country. And that is what led to them being neutral in World War II, because that pissed them off. You can find out more about that in the movie Michael Collins with Liam Neeson.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good film.
How does the line
I wouldn't mind.
Do you want to know more?
I would like to
know
actually
more?
cover that film here. This is a very good film, Michael Collins. They made a historical mistake towards the third act, which bugged me. But it's still a very good film, fairly accurate.
All I know is that the Irish are tough. They'll pick a fight with you, but then they'll buy you a beer afterwards. We're neutral.
And I've always said that one of the things that made American fighters so good in combat is all that fucking Celtic blood.
You're welcome.
I'm 88.8% Celt.
Yeah.
It's like,
dude, even the Romans, fear them.
I always joke, one German fucked his way into my family and I get stuck with his name. Fucking Kraut.
Right down to the spelling of your first name, right? Oh my God.
No, that's Irish. My first name is from the Irish.
Oh man.
And because it was
Yeah.
pronounced Gerry before the 20th century, and it changed early on in the 20th century. People started mispronouncing it. And but anyway, my full name is Gerry Richard Patrick Cassell.
Patrick, there it is, right there.
Yeah, my two sons are Benjamin Brian James Cassell, John Patrick Gerry Cassell. I did that to piss my dad off. So I spell it Gery, but I go out of my way to pronounce it Gerry, just to fuck with my dad, because I'm like, that'll teach you not to pass that fucking name on to me,
Right.
you bastard. And then my daughter is Zoe Kirsten Wara, an Irish name, Cassell.
Kirsten, there you go. Wow.
Kirsten is Scandinavian,
Mm-hmm.
but the name Zoe is Greek, Zoe, because she has the umlauts over the E. And her second middle name is Moira, Moira, which is the Irish for Mary. Some people pronounce it Moira.
Moira McTaggart.
It's Moira.
Moira.
It's Moira.
Moira.
But, and I tell you, nothing will set the hackles off on Zoe faster than mispronouncing her first name or spelling it wrong with a Y. Even she was 4 years old and knew that her name had umlauts over the E. But when she was younger than that, she goes, "My name is Zoe. That's ZOE ...
There it is.
Funny. The King of Belgium at the time, 1960s, was Baudouin. Yeah, at the time. The only thing good that came out of Belgium were waffles and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh my God! Hey, wait! You have the Stellar Tours, and you have the Stellar Tours, and you have the city of Bruges.
Bruges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bruges didn't come out of Belgium. It's in Belgium.
Yeah, but
I said the only thing good that came out of Belgium were waffles.
Okay,
and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You still have the Stellar Tour.
No, we don't. I think that's garbage.
I'm gonna have to reevaluate my friendship with you after that statement.
Agree to disagree, gentlemen.
Hey, Monkey Jeeves is here at the end. Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's Zoe. And but she would get mad if the teacher would spell it with a Y. That's not my name. And my daughter was like worse than me. I remember when Mike Beatty and I blew up that classroom. And the next day, after the weekend, it was Monday after the weekend when it happened, we had made nitroglycerin and left it. It was very unstable, about a thimbleful, and it shattered a slate lab table. It cracked the plexiglass window of the dust-free chamber and shattered 2 windows that were next to it from the blast. Didn't break the windows, it shattered them. It just, the concussion, and the windows were still there. But when we got to school that morning, we noticed there was a tarp hanging down over the windows because they had taken them out. And we get into it's Monday, it's the first day of the week, we had to go to homeroom. So we're sitting in homeroom, which was the art class with Mrs. Larson, and it comes over again. Well, Michael Beatty and Jerry Kissel, report to the office, please. And Michael and I just sat there. And Mrs. Larson goes, "Are you going to the office?" I said, "For what?" She goes, "They just called you to the office." I said, "I didn't hear my name. Did you hear your name?" She goes, "Get up and go to the office." I went, "Okay." That wasn't our name. So we went there, and it was funny. We're sitting there waiting, and we could hear in the office muffled. Then you hear a calmer voice, Mr. Price, going. Then you hear a response. And we're like out there, and all the secretaries in the office are looking at us, and we're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And Michael keeps whispering, are they yelling about us? I think I heard my name. Finally, we get called into the office, the principal's office. We walk through the little gate, walk through into the door, and he's alone. When we walk in the door, he's alone. And we're like, what the fuck was going on? And then the door shut behind us. And there was Mr. Dernbeck, God rest his soul. He killed himself in the late 80s, early 90s. And we always felt like we added to that, his depression, because some of the shit we did, it wasn't just blowing up his lab class. We did so many fucked up things in that class. We made stink bombs, which we all suffered from. He didn't, because he had no sense of smell. So it just was grossing out the entire class, and we get in trouble for it. But for that one, we got rest of the semester in school suspension. We weren't allowed to have lunch with anybody. We had to have lunch alone. We stayed in a room with one teacher, just the two of us. and that was it. In school suspension for the rest of the semester.
They didn't want you subverting the rest of the degenerates? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we were at middle school. So I think I was 14, he was 13. Because I'm older than Michael by about 8 months. Jim is older. No, I'm older than Jim by 3 months, and 8 months older than Mike Beatty. So, but yeah, we were teenagers, like young teenagers, and we were prone to doing stupid shit. I did stupid shit all the time. Mike will tell you, like, I showed up when he was supposed to fight another friend of mine, Matt Swift. God rest his soul. He just died about 5 years ago. Matt was one of my redneck buddies, and I got worried when Mike was going to fight him. And so I sat up on a ridge line up above him, because he lived in Confederate Ridge in Fredericksburg. It's just full of hills that Civil War battles took place on. I sat up on one of those ridge lines with my Marlin 30-30 and with a 7-power scope on it. And I just sat there and watched through the scope. And my job was to make sure that if they showed up to fight Mike there, that no guns were pulled out or that he wasn't ganged up on. But then I saw Mike at school, because he wasn't aware of me up there until I said the next day at school. I said, good thing they didn't show up. And he goes, well, how the fuck do you know? And I said, I was up on the ridgeline scoping the situation. Alan. And he's like, you brought a rifle? I said, I know Matt Swift, and he just soon shoot you than fight you. Because he was a good old redneck, good old boy. And but the guys never showed up, and I was so grateful, because I was scared I was going to have to shoot somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It was me on a grassy knoll. You goddamn right. And one in the drain. There was another shooter in the drain. I loved when they made that out to be the comedian in the Watchmen universe.
Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely. That was awesome.
That he was the one in the drain.
I thought he was the one at the picket fence.
He was one of the picket fence.
Yeah.
I think one of the scariest moments for me was when, and I don't like talking about it, and when I wrote the screenplay for Drummers Don't Dance, I left this completely out. That I got angry after she picked this other guy over me. He was a grown man. I knew the guy. I liked him, but for that one day, I wanted to fucking kill him. And I took my dad's Colt 45, and I was going to go fuck it. In my mind, I was going to go scare the shit out of him, catch him in bed together, and I was going to. My dad spotted that his weapon was missing, immediately went out of the house, got in the car, drove around, and caught me before I could get off the property. And he goes, get in this fucking car and you give me my weapon. What were you thinking you were going to do? And I got the lecture of a lifetime. And I absolutely, I understood I was completely wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I let my emotions guide me. And I'm glad my dad stopped me. Because you never know when you go into a situation. You think you won't hurt anybody, and then you do. Because something you didn't predict happened.
Why they call them crimes of passion.
Yep.
And your dad did it because he cared about you, and also he was being a responsible gun owner, because that was his gun you were about to kill somebody with.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I look back on and going, oh my God, I'm so glad my dad stopped me.
You dodged the bullet, man. Quite literally. Yep.
I was not in picket fences. That's correct. Tom Skerritt was. We do look a lot alike.
What?
Yeah, I really deserved to have my ass kicked, and my dad didn't do it. But he verbally did. He really put me in my place. And
He's
and
probably
woke me
just
up.
relieved he caught you.
He was. We talked about it many times before he died, how grateful I was that he caught me. He says, yeah, that scared the hell out of me, boy, because I know that how that line starts out one way and then you end up going over that line. You go over that line, next thing you know, somebody's dead.
Yep.
And I didn't want it to be you, but I also didn't want you to kill somebody. And I'm like, yeah, I was always grateful my dad stopped me from being stupid. And it's not the only time. I remember my dad, like, my God, I could tell you so many stories about my dad catching me and stopping me from doing something. I think the funniest thing that ever happened to my dad is when my late buddy, Mike Anderson, God rest his soul. Every single friend I've had that died since 2000 has died from diabetes or diabetes-related complication.
Hmm.
And Mike was one of them. He died in 2015. Broke my heart. He was one of my friends that I beat the shit out of him. Jim Woodward, too. Both of us beat the shit out of him in school multiple times. In fact, Bennett Summer would pay us 50 cents to knock the shit out of him. But he hung out with us. He would not quit because we were big brothers to him. And that's how he saw it. Because as much as we fucked with him, we also took care of him and helped him a lot. Bennett was the one who pushed the envelope too far, and he put sugar in his gas tank. And that pissed Jim and me off. And we're like, that's dirty baseball, man. Shouldn't have done that. But Mike Anderson, you know, I've known him my whole life. And, you know, God damn it. He said something stupid to me one day and he wouldn't leave me alone. I was sitting there trying to read during study hall and he kept coming up to me. He goes, you know what? My favorite science fiction novel is the Bible. It's my favorite. Fuck off, Mike. I'm trying to read. Leave me alone. I don't give a shit what you are going into and why you're going into. He's just trying to ruffle my feathers because he knew I was a devout Catholic. You know, he goes, yeah, man. He started just going into the Bible, science fiction. He goes, you know, that's UFOs. And I just went, dude, fuck off, man. Seriously, I'm not going to warn you again. But after class, he was walking by and I just left my locker. And as he walks by me, he goes, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. And I shoved him through the doorway into Mr. Waddell's class. And I shut the door behind me. He goes, what? And I just plowed him one shot, knocked him completely unconscious with one punch. He was out. And I made sure to roll him on his side. And then I walked out of the classroom, shut the door, very calmly walked to the exit right around the corner from it. And as the door shut behind me, I fucking took off running. And then I looked up and there's my fucking dad walking towards me about 50 yards from me. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, hey, boy, thought I'd come over and meet you at school. I said, can't stop. I'll see you at the arcade. And I just like ran past my dad and he's on his crutches. And he's like turning around and having to follow me. I hauled ass from there. And I still don't know. I never talked to Mike about it ever again. And we were friends all the way to his death. Never brought it up again. And I often wondered if after I knocked him out, if he had retrograde amnesia and couldn't figure out how the fuck he fell asleep in his classroom on the floor. Why is my nose bleeding? But I miss Mike. He was a sweetheart of a guy. He lied to us, said he was taking care of his diabetes when he wasn't. He was just bad. Shit was out of control.
You got to give up the sweets.
Yeah, with David Gray, he died of it. His was from alcohol because he's an alcoholic and it destroyed his liver. You know, complication from the diabetes just took over and he just fucking went into complete organ failure and died. Fucking alcoholism.
Yeah, addiction's
What's
not.
this one? Oh, yeah. The corrupt. I guess we'll owe you a video for that one. Monkey.
Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm trying to play his favorite. Where's it at? I'm looking for it. Where the hell is it? The Orville one is gone.
I didn't do it.
Oh, found it.
Maybe we can get in through the back door.
So, but anyway, I want to thank Christian DeLorme for being here, Andy Morrow, Sci-Fi Mombi, FKHC 2005, aka Tim, deleted scenes, Admiral Teague, Penny, Dragon Ruse, Shellback TJC, Zax, aka Kyle, Ariel Billet, let's see, Comic Relief Crusader, our good buddy Mike, and of course, Monkey Jeebus. I hope all of you are doing well, especially you, Monkey, because I worry about you. So I'm going to make a Suicide Squad poster with Kurt Cobain, Hunter S. Thompson, David Carradine, Robin Williams, Chester Pitt. You know what? It hurts my feelings, that Monkey, you don't add me to any of those videos you make. Mock me. I do. I like it when he does that with me. It tickles me. It's like, I hope you put me
in. Remember when he did the Baby Keith?
Baby Keith. I like the one he did Brokeback Mountain with Keith and me. That was funny. But I like his little videos, and I'll see his videos, and I'm like, oh, I'm not in there.
Yeah. The ones he does for Comic Divisions are really good too.
I love his videos that he puts together. They're so fucking funny. But hey guys, that's the end of the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. And we weren't always talking about the movie. Let me say this though. Even though we didn't always constantly talk about the movie, this is a show of entertainment, and I love talking military stuff, even if it's not related to the film. And when I get Pope on here in particular, because he and I are infantry, and so I know I can start talking infantry with him because he gets what I'm talking about. And it just, I am so glad Pope started doing these shows with us.
Yes,
because I feel like I got another grunt in there with me.
That's why they don't like me. I'm the guy that busts up their parties at the bar.
Well, you're an MP. You are still a soldier all the way. But MPs are just—they're not grunts. We don't, you're not called.
We're grunts with jeeps. That's what we call ourselves. Grunts with jeeps. Yeah.
It's like it's the guys that hump 20-mile march on a regular basis.
We don't do that.
That's why we're called grunts.
We ride
grunt comes from
helicopters. Yeah,
pumping miles and miles, and so the nickname was Grunt because you're always grunting.
That's it. That's it.
So, but anyway, you wanted to say something, buddy.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's for my brother. He's releasing his first instrumental album. He's been taking guitar lessons from a member of Black Label Society for a while now, and he's releasing his first release called "Sharking for Pearls" is the name of it. It drops on midnight on Sunday, Saturday night at midnight. 17 songs, so go check it out everywhere you get your music. iTunes, Spotify. He said it's going to
put the name in the public and private chat.
All right, I sure will. Let's see. It's called "Sharking for Pearls." I know it sounds funny, but if I told you the background of it, you wouldn't believe it.
I was in a band called the Smelly Pubes. So
right. It's crazy. Let's see. I may not be able to do it, Gary. Let's see. Travis Studio. Here we go. Yeah, I got it. Hang on. "Sharking for Pearls."
I can find it in.
It's not going to drop until Saturday. That's why I'm telling people to watch out for it. There it is right there. It's saying snarking. It's sharking. God, I hate predictive text. Good Lord. It's "Sharking for Pearls." That's what it's called. But thank you for letting me talk about it. It's dropping on. Yep. So very proud of my brother. But like me doing my comic book, working on that, he's following his dream of music. So, yeah, there you go.
Very good. All right, we're the
Yeah,
fuck
anybody
out
that
of here, man.
watches our show, one of the first things we do is he shows off the axe he's playing with during the show. He's always got a guitar in his hand. He collects them.
Very good. Anyway, we're out of here, guys. Everybody have a good Monday and try to have a good week. We'll see you later. Bye now.
Take care.